We're going to begin today with a feeling that is, I think, almost universally familiar in the modern world, but it's incredibly difficult to actually name. It's that sensation of being functionally present. You're sitting at your desk, you're scrolling on your phone, you're in a meeting, maybe you're being super productive.
Right.
But there's this weird, pervasive sense that something is intensely missing. And it's not outside you, it's somewhere deep in you.
It's the experience of feeling like you're operating your own life by remote control.
Yes, exactly.
You're performing the role of you perfectly, but you aren't actually inhabiting the body or the experience. We often talk about it like you're watching yourself from behind a sheet of glass.
The glass wall. That is so precise.
You see the reflection of yourself talking, moving, smiling, but you don't feel the weight of your own sheet on the floor. You don't feel the moment.
If I think about my typical day, that really hits home. My thoughts are always racing ahead. I'm rehearsing a conversation that hasn't happened yet, or I'm mentally filing away some regret from yesterday.
And your body.
My body's just sitting there.
Quiet.
It's almost like I left it on a shelf somewhere.
And that, right there, is the quiet erosion of what we call contact. This is the core idea, really. The self doesn't exist as some fixed object waiting for you to find it.
Okay.
The self arises moment to moment in contact, in the living, breathing, immediate exchange between you and the world, and between you and yourself. When the mind races ahead or retreats, that contact is it's severed.
So if I'm physically in a discussion, I'm nodding, I'm saying the right things, but inside I'm already planning dinner.
Yeah. Then I've missed the self that could have shown up in that moment.
Precisely. And the
Yep.
consequence of this is that familiar hollowness that shows up later. We think, I was there, but I wasn't really there.
Right.
But what's fascinating is that this hollowness, it isn't true emptiness. It's the echo of a missed contact. It's what's left over from a moment when your body reached out. Maybe a subtle flicker of excitement, a tightening in your gut, and you didn't notice because you were too busy keeping up the performance. And that energy, that impulse,
Yeah.
it has to go somewhere. The body doesn't just forget it.
Exactly. It can't. The body, being completely loyal to your survival, stores that unmet impulse. And it usually shows up as chronic tension or numbness.
Which brings us to a huge block for so many people. We are culturally trained to ignore the body. We're told to think things through, to control our emotions.
We learn to trust analysis over sensation. And in doing so, we sever the most direct, honest line we have to our own truth, the actual physical language of our organism.
But wait a minute, because a lot of us, myself included, are trained that analysis is how you solve problems. If I stop thinking about why I'm anxious and just focus on the sensation, how do I know I'm not just avoiding the issue? Analysis feels productive.
That's a crucial distinction, and it's a fair question. Analysis in this context is often a very clever way to stay safe from feeling the full force of the experience. The body doesn't need analysis. It needs acknowledgement.
It needs to be heard.
It needs to be heard. It doesn't lie. When you feel joy, the body literally expands, your breath deepens. When you feel a threat, it braces, your shoulders tighten. The body shows us the truth long before the mind can spin its protective story.
So the body is the first responder, always honest. But what happens if I've spent decades overriding that first response? Smiling when I'm furious or working when my body is screaming for rest. What happens to that language?
The body, when it faces constant override, it eventually just lowers the volume.
He gives up trying.
In a way, the messages go underground. They start as whispers, and if you ignore them, they become this low-level physical noise, the chronic headache, the back pain, or sometimes they just go silent. The system has decided it is not safe for me to communicate.
And that silence can feel like calm when it's actually just numbness.
It's so deceptive. You might not realize how disconnected you are until you try to tune in on purpose. I mean, just for a moment right now, try to bring your attention down into your hands or to the weight of your feet on the floor. If you try to sense temperature or weight or your pulse and all you get is a kind of fog or just nothing, that is not failure. That is profound information. Your system is signaling this connection.
And that sense of fog is actually, it's validation. It's not some deep character flaw, which is what I think we often assume. What's wrong with me?
Absolutely not. This numbness is a brilliant survival strategy. At some point in your past, maybe in childhood, maybe during a period of intense stress, you learned that feeling everything was just too much. It was overwhelming.
You shut it down to keep going.
You intelligently split off part of your awareness. It was adaptive then. But now that old strategy is keeping you permanently half absent from your own life. And the great irony is that you can be surrounded by people, by love, and feel utterly alone because the deepest loneliness is being without yourself.
And if the body is holding all of this unexpressed truth, it makes perfect sense that we need to understand the how, the mechanics of the block. I know those moments when the armor cracks, waking up tense, heart pounding, but there's no story attached to it. Or crying during a random commercial because the sadness I swallowed 2 days ago finally found a way out.
Those are precious moments because they show the system trying to complete a natural cycle that got broken. Life flows in this beautiful, natural rhythm like a wave. It starts with sensing something. A tightness, a lightness.
Which builds into awareness. You recognize, oh, this is anger, or this is need.
Exactly. And that awareness drives action setting a boundary, wreaking out, which leads to completion, so the need is resolved, and then finally, rest.
And the interruption is where we learn to break that wave.
We stop the wave before it ever hits the shore. You sense a surge of sadness, but you swallow it because now isn't the time. You notice anger rising, but you smile instead because conflict isn't safe.
And the energy of that wave just collapses inward. It gets stuck.
That stuck energy, whether it's swallowed tears or suppressed rage, is what we call unfinished business.
So unfinished business isn't just about big dramatic trauma. It's the millions of tiny, unexpressed moments of aliveness.
It's all the energy still seeking resolution. And the body holds it in a few ways. One is something called introjection, which is just swallowing external beliefs whole. For example, good people don't get angry. You swallow that rule.
And the result is that you automatically suppress anger. Maybe it becomes a headache instead.
Precisely. And the other mechanism is called retroflexion.
Okay.
This is when you turn back onto yourself what you actually wanted to do to the world around you. Think about wanting to scream at your boss, but instead you bite the inside of your cheek.
You wanted to move outward, but you moved inward.
Yes. Your tight diaphragm, your chronic shoulder tension, that's often the energy you meant to use to push something away or speak up. Now it's pushing and constricting you.
That makes the link between the body and the block so much clearer. The body isn't just reacting, it's physically enacting the interruption. It's embodying a rule the mind set decades ago.
It's a brilliant, silent defense. And the subtlety is that this habit of interruption becomes so automatic, it just feels like who you are. You might genuinely believe, oh, I'm just not an emotional person, or I'm a natural introvert.
When really, these are just adaptations, protective walls that now prevent you from fully living.
And the body is the physical proof of that adaptation.
So we've established the body holds the key, but we're also masters at overriding it. If the path back isn't more analysis, because that just reinforces the mind's dominance, how do we even start to turn inward without trying to fix it or force it? It sounds incredibly hard to change such a deep pattern.
It is hard, but the path is, well, it's remarkably simple. It's about attending. It's about showing up with radical curiosity, not correction. The core principle here is that what you resist persists. The very thing you're avoiding, the anger, the need, the vulnerability, it's actually trying to complete itself.
It's trying to connect you to something true.
Something more honest, yes.
So if I feel that familiar anxiety rising, instead of diving into the story of, why am I anxious? Which it just becomes a loop.
You pivot. Let's try it right now. If you can recall a recent moment where you felt that disconnection, that numbness, instead of asking your mind why, ask your body. What happened physically just before I went numb?
That's such a subtle shift. It's like tracking the exact moment the pattern took over.
It is. Was there a flutter in your stomach, a heat rising in your face, a sudden sinking feeling? That sensation, that flicker of heat or tension, that's the edge of contact. That's the moment your organism sensed something real just before your habitual defense said, hide.
Smile. Push it down.
Exactly. And when we do finally notice the numbness itself, the invitation is to honor it, not to try and blast through it with, positive thinking.
Right.
Numbness isn't the problem, it's the container. It's holding everything you decided you couldn't afford to feel back then. So healing isn't about eradicating your defenses, it's about respecting them and gently making room for what they're protecting.
How do we do that?
We use what's called phenomenology.
That's a term we hear a lot. What does it actually mean in practice for someone listening right now?
In this context, it just means setting aside your assumptions and your judgments, putting them in brackets for a moment, and returning to pure sensory description.
So instead of, I'm stressed because my boss is awful, which is a story that keeps you stuck.
Yes, instead of the story, you describe only the pure sensations. My jaw is lightly clenched. I feel heat spreading across my upper back. My breath is shallow and it's high in my chest.
I'm just acknowledging what's there. Without judging it as good or bad, I'm just describing its texture, its location.
Exactly. And that simple acknowledgement, without judgment, creates a pause. And in that pause, the body often begins to soften on its own because for the first time, the feeling was simply seen. It was met. It didn't have to scream for your attention anymore.
That awareness is so powerful for rebuilding contact. But I know another huge block is, well, losing the boundary of what's ours, what isn't. Projection.
Projection is a quiet thief of internal contact, yes. It happens when you lose that sense of a boundary and you hand your feelings over to the world. It can be subtle. It's not just blaming people.
What does it look like?
It's feeling an internal sense of unease and immediately concluding, this room feels hostile, or everyone here is judging me. You've taken your own feeling and you've externalized it. You've put it on the environment.
So if I feel anxious and assume the whole atmosphere is tense, that's my projection. The critical step back then must be to re-own it.
Yes. The question to ask is this mine? And if the answer is yes, you stop looking outside for the problem or the fix. You realize, this feeling, this anxiety, it lives in my body. I can meet it right here.
And that act of retrieval is what gives you, what was the term? Responsibility.
Yes.
Yeah.
It means the ability to respond to your own experience rather than reacting to a story about it.
What's the difference?
If you react, you're trapped in the past or the future. If you respond, you're fully present. If I feel need and I project it, no one ever helps me. I react with helplessness. But if I re-own it, I am experiencing deep need right now. I can respond by calmly asking for what I need, or by meeting that need myself. That's the full arrival of the adult self.
And sometimes the hardest patterns are those deep survival contracts. The quiet rules we learned so early on. If I take up space, I'll be too much. If I feel deeply, I'll fall apart.
We honor those contracts by staying small, contained, quiet. But again, the body isn't the problem here, it's the portal. Every tension is a doorway back to a place where you abandon yourself. And to walk through that doorway, we need to shift our goal from seeking closure to seeking completion.
Closure. That word implies wrapping something up, filing it away, forgetting it. How is completion different?
Completion is a felt sense of wholeness. It arises when an experience, even a painful one, is fully met and processed in the present moment, not just rationalized away. You can have closure on a relationship, but still carry the unfinished business of grief in your chest. Completion requires the present moment to be fully inhabited.
So that unexpressed sadness from childhood, the tightness in the chest from having to be silent, that unfinished business is still living in my tissues today. How do I, as the adult I am now, offer it completion without getting overwhelmed?
You don't have to revisit the past in your mind. You just meet the physical tension right now. When you feel that old, familiar tightness in your chest or throat, you can just place your hand there, breathe into it, not to make it go away, but just to acknowledge it.
You're saying, I'm here, I see you.
You don't have to hold this alone anymore, and then you just allow the cutoff impulse to complete itself just a little bit. Maybe it's a sigh, maybe it's a deepening of the breath past that barrier. A soft sentence you needed to say then.
You're letting the body finally move its energy to resolution. Letting the wave finally hit the shore in a safe place. That really does shift the symptom from a burden into a sacred portal, a chance to respond differently.
It transforms the experience, and what's so beautiful is that this extraordinary transformation, it happens in the most ordinary moments.
I think we overlook those moments. We're always waiting for the big traumatic breakthrough.
But the breakthrough happens when you stop performing, when you stop planning, and you simply notice the small, immediate sensations. It's when you feel the warmth of the coffee mug in your hands, or the solid presence of your feet on the floor. For just a few seconds, you aren't trying to be anything or prove anything or fix anything. You are just here, that moment. That is contact.
And the reality is, this isn't a task we finish. There's no certificate that says contact achieved.
No, contact is a daily practice. It's a moment-to-moment choice. Every day we choose whether we will abandon ourselves for the sake of functioning or whether we will stay present with our own aliveness. Some days that will feel like joy and easy breath. Other days it's messy and confusing, and both are sacred. Both are the self-arriving.
So the central invitation here is to trust our own aliveness enough to stay with it, even when it's uncomfortable.
To trust your body. It is your oldest, most honest friend. It's been with you through every single victory and every single moment of pain, just waiting patiently for you to fully come home to it.
So as you go about your day, we'd invite you to focus less on the moments when you're completely numb, and instead, see if you can pinpoint the exact split second when you are almost feeling something, and then you stop yourself. Just track that point of interruption.
Ask yourself in that exact moment, what is my body trying to tell me right now, and what am I doing to prevent myself from hearing it?
And as a final invitation, if you can, just place your hand on your heart or your belly right now. Feel that steady, undeniable rhythm beneath your palm. That quiet internal pulse is the proof that you are here. That rhythm is your homecoming. And it's happening in this moment.